Roger.
Hi, Hammer. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, Richard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. So basically, as you know, we've been sending out newsletters for many, many years, and we're among the best read people in the world because you estimate that 2 million plus people have read my newsletters over the last 10 years. But we also know that this vehicle is not convenient for getting feedback. So now we've decided we want to interact with the people that have been following and reading stuff in a live, interactive way. So we're going to start doing videos and abandon, for the most part, newsletters written by me, although we may continue to, as a courtesy, publish newsletters by colleagues that work with us. What do you think about that idea?
No, I do think that's a good idea because it is. I the internet has moved to more of a interactive type format. I think that pushing out some videos gets a little bit more interaction in terms of just the content that you're sending out and the information. And I think that's a good stepping stone. Also, maybe to some live chats on other social media platforms where maybe we can actually get some interaction from some of the people who follow you, because they're, like you said, we have a lot of people that open the newsletters, but yeah, I'd really like to get a lot more feedback from some of the people because I want to hear I want to hear what other people have to say too, because it's
Yeah, exactly. And
these are
also,
smart people. These are yeah,
also, they haven't seen me or you in action. They've
yeah.
seen pictures of me when I was 40 years younger or 20 years younger. They've seen pictures of you making you look like a criminal
Yeah,
to try to intimidate them, but they've never seen you as the real person that you claim to be, which you
yeah,
probably are
yeah. Just
because I can see you there. Okay. So this is going to allow our audience who is now watching us to see we're real people. And I'm sorry if they're disappointed that we don't look exactly like those photos they've seen of us for so many years. Is that really Koenigsberg? I thought he was 40 years old. Is that really Hammer? I thought he was a vicious criminal. But look, he's a normal person. So here we are starting a new cycle of life where you and I are going to have video interactions discussing some of my theories in a more user friendly way where other people can participate and see that they're not so radical as they appear to be, because I will explain them in a more conversational way and I will expand upon them as opposed to my idea of writing one paragraph and saying, "What's wrong with you? Don't you guys understand this?"
yeah. I think that'll be great, and I really invite everyone to watch the videos, and if you have your own ideas, feel free to contact us, and we could even maybe do a video with some other people. I think that'd be great.
Okay, so why don't you give them your email address
Yeah.
where people,
Yeah, you
uh,
can just send emails to andrew.c.hammer@gmail.com, or you can just reply to the newsletter at newsletters at, oh, crap. I'm going to have to edit the
book
newsletter email.
exhibits at
Yeah, book exhibits at
librarysocialscience.com. That
librarysocials.com.
way I'll receive it as well. Okay, so
Roger.
uh, we could start talking about one of the simple ones, which is the pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
um, which was the one you originally suggested, which is not too complicated. So, as far as I understand it, and there may be people who disagree with this, human beings lived in small Homo sapiens and precursors of Homo sapiens that had different names, Homo habilis, et cetera, lived in small bands in Africa mainly. And they survived pretty well. Occasionally they get eaten by wild animals. That was par for the course, but they didn't have such a hard life. They picked tubers, they picked fruit from the tree, and occasionally they'd chase a wild animal and bring it home and the women would be happy with them, and they'd be more likely to have sexual intercourse with that man who brought home the big game hunt. They cut it up in pieces and share it with the entire group.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a different life. And then, for whatever reason, and unfortunately, the anthropologists don't write much about this, in about 6,000 BC, Egyptians started, actually about 4,000 BC, that's before Christ, started building pyramids. Now, there's been a lot of research done on this in recent years. When I was younger, this was considered a miracle, and they had no concept how the Egyptians could have done this, what kind of technology they used to be able to build pyramids. But since then, there's been a lot of deep research which has deconstructed the methods they used. And the other point that now people understand that they didn't understand when I was younger is that these people were not functioning as slaves. We used to have
Yeah.
that saying, yo ho, heave ho, yo ho, heave ho, that actually they were kind of excited to participate in this grand project.
Mm-hmm.
And they were taken off their farms and they lived with the other men who were building the pyramids for like 25 years or however long it took. And they were fed well. They had a decent life, although there were no women there. And they built the pyramids somehow. And now there's a great deal of research. And the pyramids basically had one function, which was to verify the idea of the immortality of the pharaoh. Somehow, this was a symbol of his everlasting life.
So, so would you say kind of what was going on in the human species from, say, the pre-pyramid era to the building of the pyramids? That was almost a well, when they were building the pyramids, it was almost as if that was a societal project where the goal wasn't a goal for like getting myself food or meeting a basic need. It was actually a goal to bring an idea into existence. And actually, and we don't have that before the pyramids because we're just
As far as we know, I
yeah
mean, what are these little, you remember,
yeah you don't have
people trace the Homo sapiens back to 4 million years ago, some
yeah
3 million years ago. There's still debate. I mean, I've
yeah
seen different videos, but we have one amazing fossil, which is world famous, the Lucy
Lucy.
fossil. And the reason that was stuck in, whatever kind of substance you can't erase. Okay, and they have footprints of her, and there's no doubt that unlike the gorillas and the chimpanzees, she was walking upright.
Mm-hmm.
So that fossil is the most famous fossil in history, and it's still preserved. And they recreated it from just a few bone, not
Yeah.
from the whole, from bones. And this is the greatness of archaeologists and anthropologists, where they can recreate things out of such little evidence, because very few bones are preserved. Most they have to have a certain kind of water that comes into them and mineral. Most of them just disintegrate.
Yeah, they turn to dust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where this phase, that's where human beings began. And this went on for millions of years. And they were dopes. They had stone tools. It took such a long time for them to develop things that seem so simple. Oh,
yeah.
why don't we develop stones to cut the hides of the animals? This took millions of years to evolve, and they have all different names for the subspecies Homo habilis, etc., etc. And then came Neanderthal man in about 30,000 BC that were a little more well developed. They claim they had funeral ceremonies. They have evidence of that. They did wall paintings. So, but nothing like what happened in 4000 BC
Okay.
with the Egyptians. Nothing close to building these gigantic pyramids.
Okay.
So that has to be explained. I'm not the person to explain why that happened at that particular moment, but it did happen. And that led to other advanced societies like Babylonian, and that led to mass murder and killing all the people in the other society and these great wars. And the Greeks were involved in wars. So that began a new phase in the history of Homo sapiens. And you could say that's where history began.
Yeah.
And that's my expertise, the history of human violence. And you could say that's where our heartaches begin. There's a song about that. So the pyramids still exist. They were built so well that you can still go to Egypt and see them there. They're one of the
Yes.
great wonders of the world. And in some way, in my humble opinion, skyscrapers and all these big buildings they're building in Saudi Arabia, these grandiose projects, evolved from the pyramids. And that's what human beings are. They want to do these grandiose things, these great things like the Olympics,
The space race.
the space race.
Yeah, we don't. Was it? We're not going to the moon because it's easy. We do it because it's hard.
We do it because it's grandiose.
Yeah,
And
grandiose.
JFK said it explicitly. The Russians were advancing technologically, and he, for some crazy reason, said, we're going to send a man to the moon. It
Yeah.
seemed impossible,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Homo sapien,
Yes.
doing impossible things that gorillas can't do, that baboons can't do, that chimpanzees can't do. In fact, they can't even talk. So talking and writing were another part of the origin of civilization, even if it's not the kind of writing we do,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
hieroglyphics.
like hieroglyphics and cuneiform. No, that makes perfect sense. Uh, I, do we have anything else on this one?
Why don't we conclude at this
Yeah.
point? Because at least we have something we can now put online, and they can be introduced to us and see that we're not the madmen that we appear to be when we write and have photographs of ourselves online. And they'll see that I'm actually, instead of being 40, I'm actually 55.
And they were just two normal people.
We're normal people
Yep.
who have original ideas, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for recording this. I appreciate it. And we will put it online soon. And we'll send a link through the newsletter that people can click on, that's a slip of the tongue, and they will see us in person and hear us having a real dialogue. And eventually we will invite others into our scheme, into our special people like Scott Atrin, like Howard Bloom, people that I've have relationships with and you have relationships with, but not the people on Howard Bloom's show. These kind of whatever you want to call them. These kind of I won't say anything about them. Okay, but you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And yeah, everyone, thanks a lot for watching and listening. And I hope you all have a great day. And we hope to
Okay.
hear from you and see some more from you.
Thank you so much, Hammer. I appreciate you making this free. He is the technological expert. He actually works for a company and is considered a technological genius, which I definitely am not. but I'm doing my best. So see you next time, Hammer.
Thank
Hopefully,
you.
this will be an ongoing series which will bring great entertainment and great knowledge to the great masses. Take
I
care.
agree. Take care. Bye.